Let them silently. Observe, don't react instead of confronting or correcting others. Silently observe their actions. This approach often reveals who truly respects and values you without needing constant affirmation. Empower self-control by choosing not to respond. You strengthen your self-discipline and avoid being pulled into unnecessary conflicts, keeping your emotional energy intact. Reveals true intention. Silence allows people to show their true selves. Actions often speak louder than words, and without interference, people's genuine intentions become more apparent over time. Fosters personal peace. Letting others be without engaging reduces stress and fosters a sense of inner peace, as you're less invested in changing or controlling their behavior. Encourages boundaries. This approach sets natural boundaries. If someone's behavior doesn't align with your values or respect your boundaries, letting them silently can be a step toward distancing from unhealthy dynamics. Choosing to observe rather than react is a powerful approach to understanding people and situations on a deeper level. When we react immediately, especially in emotionally charged moments, our responses are often clouded by instinct, ego, or temporary feelings. Quick reactions can sometimes create misunderstandings, escalate conflicts, or make us regret words spoken in the heat of the moment. By stepping back and simply observing, we allow ourselves to gather information and insights that would otherwise be missed. This act of pausing can be invaluable for understanding the context behind someone's behavior, their motives, or even their struggles. Observing rather than reacting also offers us a unique window into other people's authenticity. Without our interference, people are free to act according to their own nature, revealing much more than if they were responding to our immediate feedback or emotional cues. This process often brings clarity to our relationships because it allows us to see who genuinely respects us and who might not have our best interests at heart. People reveal themselves over time through patterns of behavior, consistency, and the choices they make. When we remain calm and silent observers, these patterns become clearer, and we can understand others on a more meaningful level. Additionally, choosing to observe can teach us a lot about our own triggers and tendencies. Noticing what causes us to feel the urge to respond, especially strongly, can be a profound exercise in self-awareness. This reflection can reveal insecurities, past experiences, or unhealed wounds that influence how we view others' actions. By observing rather than reacting, we also develop patience and emotional resilience. It strengthens our ability to control our impulses and keeps us grounded, as we no longer depend on others' words or actions to dictate our emotions. Instead, we are centered in our own space, taking in the world with clarity and mindfulness. By allowing ourselves to observe and not immediately engage, we create a space for clarity and wisdom. This approach invites calm and intentionality, providing time to reflect before responding in a thoughtful and balanced way, if a response is even necessary. In some cases, we may realize that certain situations don't require our involvement at all, sparing us from unnecessary stress or conflict. In these ways, choosing to observe rather than react opens doors to deeper understanding, more peaceful interactions, and a stronger sense of self-assurance in our daily lives. Empowering self-control through the choice to remain silent is a transformative practice that strengthens one's sense of agency and discipline. In a world where instant responses and impulsive reactions are common, the ability to pause and choose silence can feel like a superpower. Self-control in this context is not about suppressing one's thoughts or feelings, but rather about mastering them and deciding how to engage, if at all. This form of self-control creates a buffer between our internal emotions and the external world, allowing us to thoughtfully choose responses that align with our values, rather than acting out of immediate impulses or reactions. Exercising self-control helps us resist the pressure to respond to every comment, criticism, or provocation. Often situations or interactions can stir up strong emotions within us, and the immediate impulse might be to defend ourselves, argue, or set the record straight. However, choosing not to respond allows us to reclaim our power from these emotions. Instead of letting others dictate our reactions, we take control, deciding if and how we'll engage. This discipline prevents others from manipulating or draining our emotional energy, as we're no longer reacting automatically to their actions or words. Furthermore, silence offers us a space for internal reflection. It allows us to observe our reactions privately, giving us time to understand why we feel the way we do and how we want to handle those feelings. Self-control, in this sense, becomes an act of self-respect. We're acknowledging our emotions without letting them control our decisions. By holding back, we avoid saying things we might regret or making rash decisions that could have long-term consequences. This mindful control not only helps in maintaining harmonious relationships, but also fosters a sense of stability and peace within ourselves. In moments of tension or conflict, self-control enables us to detach from the situation emotionally and assess it objectively. We can observe the dynamic at play, consider the motivations behind the actions of others, and evaluate what response, if any, would be most constructive. This restraint allows us to be proactive rather than reactive. Instead of being swept up in the emotional intensity of the moment, we remain composed, which in turn often diffuses tension. Others may even come to respect our calmness, understanding that we won't be easily swayed by provocations or unnecessary drama. The discipline of silence and self-control also has a ripple effect on other aspects of life. When we practice restraint in our responses, we're honing our ability to focus, listen, and make thoughtful choices across different situations. It strengthens our emotional intelligence as we learn to identify our own triggers and gain insights into the behaviors of others. Over time, this habit creates a strong foundation of mental and emotional resilience. We become more confident in our ability to navigate challenges without feeling pressured to react impulsively. By empowering self-control, we cultivate an inner strength that serves us well in a fast-paced, reaction-oriented world. This approach fosters emotional maturity and allows us to engage with others from a place of groundedness rather than reactivity. It encourages us to act with purpose and intention, embodying a form of control that feels both liberating and empowering. In this way, self-control transforms not only how we interact with others, but also how we relate to our own thoughts and emotions, leading to a more balanced, thoughtful, and empowered life. Choosing silence over immediate reaction is a powerful approach to uncovering the true intentions of others, as it allows people to reveal their authentic selves over time, without the influence of our responses or expectations. When we withhold a reaction, we create an open, unpressured space that invites people to act according to their genuine inclinations, rather than adjusting their behavior to gain our approval, meet our expectations, or diffuse a situation. Without the pressure of our feedback, people are left with the freedom to show their natural tendencies, values, and priorities. In this silence, patterns emerge that often speak louder than any words ever could. Observing someone's behavior over time without interfering or engaging allows us to see if their actions align with their words. Often people are quick to promise or assure us of certain things, especially in situations where they feel they have something to gain. However, it is in the absence of constant validation or encouragement from us that we see whether they are truly committed to what they say. Silence allows us to detect consistency, or the lack thereof, in someone's actions. If they are reliable, they will continue to follow through, regardless of our reactions or feedback. If their intentions are less genuine, this often becomes apparent when they no longer have our immediate attention or validation to motivate them. This approach is especially helpful in relationships where initial impressions can sometimes mask deeper intentions or motives. In the beginning, people may act in ways that they believe will earn our trust or approval, presenting their best selves or acting in ways they think we want to see. However, over time and without frequent feedback or engagement from us, their true character and priorities naturally surface. For instance, a person with sincere intentions will likely continue to show up, support us, or communicate, even without constant reassurance. Conversely, someone with more self-serving motives may lose interest or disengage once they sense they are not receiving the expected reaction or reward. Additionally, allowing others to reveal their intentions through silence can protect us from manipulative or toxic behavior. Some individuals may try to provoke a reaction to gauge our emotional vulnerabilities or gain control in the relationship. By refusing to react, we deny them the chance to exploit our emotions or manipulate our responses. This non-reactive stance often discourages people with harmful motives, as they realize they cannot easily influence us. In a way, our silence becomes a form of emotional boundary, signaling that we are not easily swayed by superficial words or actions, and that we will only invest in relationships that are rooted in honesty and respect. Allowing people to reveal themselves in this way also helps us cultivate patience and resilience. Observing without reacting forces us to let go of the urge for immediate answers or clarity, instead accepting that understanding someone's true nature takes time. This patience can lead to more meaningful connections as we become more discerning about who we allow into our lives. We learn to value consistency and genuine effort, qualities that are often only visible when we step back and allow others to act freely. In turn, this discernment helps us build stronger, more trustworthy relationships based on a clearer understanding of others' intentions and character. In choosing silence, we prioritize our peace and mental clarity, allowing others the opportunity to act according to their true selves. It is a way of protecting our emotional energy, not investing too quickly or too deeply or till we have a clear sense of where someone stands. This approach may feel uncomfortable at first, as it requires us to step away from the desire to control or clarify situations immediately. However, it ultimately grants us a more profound understanding of the people in our lives, showing us who truly values us, who will stand by us in both silence and noise, and who might only be present for their own reasons. In this sense, choosing to let others reveal their true intentions is an act of self-respect, enabling us to cultivate relationships that are built on authenticity, mutual respect, and genuine understanding. Choosing silence and allowing others to act without interference fosters a deep sense of personal peace, one that is rooted in self-acceptance, emotional clarity, and inner stability. This approach allows us to step back from the noise of constant reactions and involvement, creating a calm internal space where we no longer feel compelled to respond to everything around us. By not engaging in every situation that calls for our attention, we begin to realize that our peace does not depend on the actions or words of others. Instead, it comes from within, as we make the conscious decision to protect our own energy, maintaining a quiet confidence that allows us to approach life with a greater sense of balance. When we choose not to respond to certain provocations, criticisms, or unnecessary drama, we gain more control over our own emotional landscape. Without the constant need to react, defend, or explain ourselves, we begin to find relief from the mental burden of others' opinions and actions. This freedom from external pressures is a powerful form of self-care. It allows us to stay safe, centered, and calm, regardless of what is happening outside of us. This peace enables us to see situations with greater clarity, as we're not clouded by the stress or anxiety that can arise when we feel the need to constantly respond. In this space of quiet reflection, we gain the ability to evaluate what truly matters to us and what we can let go of, creating a life that feels less chaotic and more intentional. Letting go of the need to control or react also fosters a sense of detachment from outcomes, allowing us to accept people and situations as they are without trying to change them. This acceptance brings peace because it liberates us from the exhausting need to manage everything around us. When we let people reveal their true intentions and focus on our own responses rather than their actions, we start to recognize the boundaries between ourselves and others. This emotional boundary setting is essential for personal peace, as it prevents us from getting overly entangled in others' decisions, moods, or opinions. We become observers, engaging thoughtfully only when it feels right, rather than out of compulsion. Furthermore, fostering personal peace through silence strengthens our resilience to life's ups and downs. As we practice the art of stepping back, we build the mental strength needed to face challenges with a sense of calm and perspective. Silence can be a grounding force that anchors us, providing a mental refuge we can return to in moments of stress or overwhelm. This practice helps us trust in our own ability to handle difficulties without needing to seek constant validation or assurance from others. Over time, this self-trust becomes a wellspring of inner peace, as we feel less shaken by external events and more rooted in our own values and intentions. Choosing silence also encourages mindfulness, as it gives us the opportunity to tune into our own thoughts and emotions before reacting to external stimuli. Instead of jumping into conversations, conflicts, or debates, we create a pause that allows us to reflect on our feelings and assess whether engagement is even necessary. This mindful approach helps us avoid unnecessary stress and conflict, as we learn to choose our battles wisely. It reminds us that not every situation requires our involvement, and that sometimes preserving our peace is more valuable than making a point or proving ourselves right. This shift in mindset brings a sense of lightness and calm, as we realize that many issues that once felt urgent or demanding of our attention can be released without consequence. Perhaps most importantly, fostering personal peace through silence allows us to prioritize our own well-being without guilt. In a world that often equates constant busyness with success, taking a step back to nurture our inner calm can feel counterintuitive or even selfish. Yet by choosing peace over the noise of endless interaction, we honor our own need for rest, clarity, and self-reflection. This commitment to peace transforms our relationship with ourselves, allowing us to embrace solitude and silence as gifts rather than voids to be filled. In these quiet moments, we reconnect with our own aspirations, values, and needs, strengthening our sense of identity in a way that external influences cannot shake. In this way, letting go of the need to engage with everything brings us closer to a life marked by harmony, intentionality, and emotional freedom. We come to see that personal peace is a treasure worth protecting, one that allows us to live with greater clarity, joy, and purpose. By fostering this peace, we set the foundation for healthier relationships as we approach others from a place of calm self-assurance rather than defensiveness or need. Ultimately, choosing silence and preserving our peace becomes a daily practice of self-respect, one that allows us to cultivate a life filled with meaningful connection, inner harmony, and a lasting sense of contentment. Choosing silence over immediate reaction is a powerful way to encourage and reinforce healthy boundaries in our relationships and interactions. By allowing others to reveal their true selves without interference or constant engagement on our part, we create natural boundaries that communicate our standards and expectations without the need for confrontation. When we hold back our reactions, we send a clear message that our time, energy, and attention are valuable and will not be easily given to situations or behaviors that do not align with our values or well-being. This approach encourages others to respect our personal space, as they begin to understand that they cannot easily access our emotional resources without consideration or effort. Setting boundaries silently is often more effective than verbal explanations or arguments. For instance, if someone frequently oversteps by imposing their opinions or demands on us, responding each time only reinforces that we are available to engage on their terms. By choosing not to react, however, we establish a boundary that limits their influence over us. This boundary subtly asserts our independence, indicating that we are not obligated to respond to every criticism, demand, or expectation. Over time, people learn that we are selective about where we invest our energy and that they cannot rely on us for endless engagement, especially when it disrupts our peace or personal goals. Furthermore, this approach allows us to protect our emotional energy and prevent burnout. Engaging with every request, debate, or opinion can be exhausting and may lead us to feel drained or resentful, especially in relationships where our needs are not reciprocated. Silence creates a buffer zone that shields us from the impact of others' emotions, expectations, or opinions. This emotional boundary enables us to maintain a sense of balance, as we can choose to engage only when it feels meaningful and necessary, rather than out of obligation or habit. By maintaining this distance, we can preserve our energy for the people and activities that truly add value to our lives, which ultimately leads to healthier, more sustainable relationships. Silent boundaries also provide us with a sense of empowerment and self-respect. By choosing when to speak and when to remain silent, we exercise control over our own lives, showing that we are not beholden to external pressures. This self-respect naturally discourages others from overstepping or taking advantage, as they recognize that we hold ourselves in high regard and will not tolerate treatment that undermines our values. Additionally, silent boundaries communicate that we expect the same level of respect in return, setting a standard for how we wish to be treated. People who respect us will respond positively to these boundaries, while those who do not may choose to distance themselves. Either outcome ultimately benefits us, as it allows us to build relationships that are based on mutual respect, rather than compliance or people-pleasing. Creating boundaries through silence also promotes healthier dynamics, as it encourages others to take responsibility for their actions without placing the burden on us to constantly remind, explain, or defend ourselves. In many relationships, we may feel pressured to justify our choices or explain our feelings to others, especially when they do not understand or respect our boundaries. However, by choosing not to engage in every misunderstanding or disagreement, we avoid this cycle of justification. We make it clear that our boundaries are not up for debate, which often leads to greater respect and understanding in the long term. Those who genuinely care about us will come to accept these boundaries as part of who we are, rather than seeing them as obstacles to be challenged or overcome. Additionally, choosing silence as a form of boundary setting helps us become more attuned to our own needs and values. Often we may not realize how much we compromise our own peace until we experience the relief that comes from setting limits. When we choose not to react, we create a pause that allows us to check in with ourselves and ask, is this worth my time and energy over time? This habit of self-reflection strengthens our sense of self and clarifies what truly matters to us. We become more confident in asserting our boundaries because we understand that they are essential to our well-being. This clarity empowers us to stand firm in our decisions without feeling guilt or doubt, knowing that our boundaries are an act of self-care and respect. Finally, silent boundary setting fosters a deeper sense of personal peace and emotional resilience. By choosing where we invest our time and emotional energy, we cultivate a life that is aligned with our values and priorities, free from unnecessary conflicts or draining relationships. This practice strengthens our inner peace, as we know that we are fully capable of maintaining boundaries without constant explanations or defenses. We feel more secure and stable, trusting in our ability to protect our own needs while remaining open to meaningful, respectful connections. This self-assuredness also makes us less vulnerable to the opinions or demands of others, as we no longer rely on external validation to affirm our sense of worth. In these ways, encouraging boundaries through silence becomes a profound act of self-respect and empowerment. It allows us to honor our own needs, establish healthier relationships, and maintain a sense of personal peace, but is resilient to the demands of the outside world. By choosing not to react to every situation, we protect our emotional well-being and create space for the things that truly enrich our lives. This approach ultimately helps us lead a more balanced and fulfilling life, grounded in the strength of our own boundaries and the quiet assurance that we are in control of our own journey.